Hello, Keith here. Thank you for coming to Moffat Life. Today I'm going to go more deeply into the reasons I'm doing this. The main reasons I'm doing this is that there should be competition. There should be competition in the media, and there should be competition in the schooling of your children and our children. Right now, the media is pretty much controlled by people who have gone to journalism schools, and these people who have gone to these journalism schools have been basically brainwashed into a certain political view. That's why CNN, even now Fox, all the mainstream media companies, they have the same viewpoint, and that viewpoint probably isn't the viewpoint of the average person in this town of Craig. Even the local paper here has people on it who have journalism degrees, and they went through, in order to pass that 4 years of college, they had to show that they had the professor's viewpoint. So wherever you go in the traditional media, you're going to find bias, and it's not going to be conservative bias. So there needs to be an alternative voice for conservatives in Moffat County, because we are a conservative county. And we need to talk about some issues, and we need to fight back against globalism and against the myth of global warming and against these things. That's why I am here. That's why I painted my car the way I did. And I'm not going to go away. Another issue where there's a monopoly, your children and their education. If you don't you're under threat of gun to send your kids to the public school system. You have no choice. If you don't send your kids to the public school system, you can have somebody come into your house with guns, and they could take you away. They did that to my parents. I was in school and I wasn't attending because I had problems getting along, and my parents were thrown in jail. My parents were they were pretty old by then. I think they were in their 40s or 50s. And they will do that to you, all right? You're under threat of gun to send your kids to a public school. And these teachers, the Colorado Education Association is affiliated with the NEA. The NEA supported Joe Biden and openly endorsed Joe Biden. They do not share your values. Most of these teachers do not share your values. I want you to ask your children's teachers. Number one, I want you to talk to your children's teachers. Create a conversation with them and a back and forth. You have to know your children's teachers. The more you get involved in your child's education, the more successful that child is going to be. Ask, and you have a right to ask this. The teacher doesn't have to answer this, but you have a right to ask this. Ask your teacher, are you a member of the Colorado Education Association? If they say yes, just that's affiliated with the NEA, and that the NEA endorsed Joe Biden, and then see how they react. All right, and then you can ask them, do you share the view of the NEA that Joe Biden should be president, or something like that? But you can have these conversations with the teachers, and if they don't have these conversations with you, then take it for what it is. All right, they can say no, and that's all right, but you do have a right to ask their beliefs, because these teachers are teaching your children. You have a right to ask these beliefs and what your teachers believe. You have every right to ask that. They don't have to answer it, right? But you do have a right to ask this. You have a right to ask your school board these questions. You have a right to be involved in your child's education, all right? And that's why I want to teach. I am a teacher. I'm a certified teacher in Texas. I'm not a certified teacher here, even though I taught for a year and a half, because in Colorado they have crazy rules. All right. In Texas, all you have to do is show you can teach, go through a teacher education program, and you have your teacher license, and you'll have it. I took a 5-hour test to be a teacher. I am a teacher. I do teach math. I'm qualified to teach high school math. I am going to teach that, and I'm going to teach it online. I want to create alternatives to the public school education. Now, your kids still have to attend school, but every Friday, they're going to have every Friday off. And I'm going to provide them with more material that they can use. Also get involved, particularly in the area of math I can talk about. Ask your child what homework they're being assigned. And see because the teachers are hesitant to give the kids homework. because it makes them unpopular. But, well, look at the way you were brought up. Look at the way you were shown math. What worked for you and what didn't work for you. And decide for yourself. It's up to you. But get involved in your kids' education. Know what homework they're getting or not getting. Know what your teachers, ask what your teachers' political views are. Know what the Colorado Education Association, its affiliation to the National Education Association. Realize that these do affect, that most of these, particularly unless they've gone through an alternative education program, they've gone through a 4-year university where basically everybody's brainwashed into believing liberal views. And some people can resist it more than others, but that is how they were taught to teach. So, and particularly the people who, higher level you go in the education system, like the people with PhDs in education, they have the most liberal things. The higher levels is where these things like critical race theory and all these other liberal and socialist and communist doctrines are coming from. And then they become the teachers of teachers, and that's how your teachers get taught. Be involved in your kid's life. All right? Don't abdicate it. Don't abdicate what the school board does. Be involved. To that end, that's why I'm going to create some lessons, math lessons, and I want to create some type of alternative to the public education system. Like I said, your kids are still going to have to go to school because of the law, but I want to create some type. There's an opening with Friday Open, and with kids not being given a lot of homework, there's an opening for them to learn and for them to have. There's an opening for alternatives to the public education. All right, and that's what I want to do. I want to have alternatives to liberal media. I want to have alternatives to liberal public education. You have a right to these things, and we can't. So that's what I'm about. I just wanted to go into that, and really why I started this whole project. I just believe there should be an alternative economy, a parallel economy, where people can deal and work with people who share their values and who won't look down upon them because of what they believe. This is a conservative county, and I am my own political beliefs. I'm a libertarian. I believe the government should stay out of for the most part, stay out of people's business and not tell them how to live. Decisions are made better if they're made at the local level, as close to the local as possible. I don't believe the Department of Education, in my opinion, should be defunded. We should get rid of the Department of Education. We should defund it. That's because it's not adding anything of value. We have to look at institutions like the FBI and other institutions and consider, are they really worth funding? That's how you can eliminate them. You just eliminate the people in public office can eliminate their funding, and that's how you get rid of it. I don't recommend doing violence at all. I think violence plays into the hands of tyrants because it gives them an excuse to be violent. You need to, it's your legal right, in my opinion, the Second Amendment, to have a weapon and be able to defend yourself. However, that is only used in the very, very, very extreme circumstances. We don't want to be violent. I don't endorse violence because violence gives your opponents an excuse to use the one thing that they might have better than you, which is power. Joe Biden has F-15s. The federal government has tanks, M2 tanks. You don't. All right? Even if it was legal to get them, you would not be able to afford them. So violence isn't going to work. However, words are powerful. Questions are powerful, particularly when given to the right people like teachers. Asking questions is powerful. And looking for alternative sources for news is a good thing too. There was an article in the Craig Daily Press saying that people, that if they support, they're asking for donations, and they're also saying if you support them, that if advertisers support them, the government will give them tax rebates. Essentially, they're funded by the government. They're subsidized through Craig Daily Press. through subsidies from the federal is subsidized from the by the federal government through tax subsidies for its advertisers. And there was an article on it that said that. So even things like the Craig Daily Press are subsidized by government government donations. They're subsidized through tax write-offs for the advertisers. Also realize one thing about the federal government. I've been reading the Craig Daily Press, and it's grants this and grants that, and the government isn't giving you anything. What the government does is take your money and make you beg to get it back. Maybe if they didn't take the money to begin with, you'd be able to keep it and not have to keep asking for grants. I mean, you should. Unfortunately, you have to. Unfortunately, if you want to get the money back from the federal government, you're going to have to get grants and stuff like this in many cases because the government's taking it from you. All right? So there's nothing wrong for asking for grants. Just realize that the government isn't doing you a favor if it gives you a grant to do something, because it's just giving your own money back. Particularly if you're someone who's productive in society, you will just be getting your own money back. Compare whatever grant you get to the amount of taxes you've paid and tell me that the government's giving you a deal. I almost guarantee that you're paying more in taxes than you are getting back in that grant, and that's not right. Well, that's what I have to say. It's all right to be MAGA. MAGA means Make America Great Again, and America should be great. What that means to me is that we should take care of ourselves and be responsible for our own business. And it's okay not to be self-destructive, not to be self-hating. It's okay to love ourselves and to care about ourselves. And through that, with a strong America, we can go out and set an example for the rest of the world. Well, that's it for now. I hope to do this more often. I want to thank you. I would like your messages down below. I'm going to eventually set up a website. I'm going to have keith@moffat.life. If ever you want to get to my channel, just go to moffat.life. Thank you, everybody. Bye.